Nobody does it like you do. You're teaching me things I never thought you knew. Got me twisted, yeah. There's a part of you I never knew existed. And when you leave me, girl, I'm all shook up. I can't wait until we look back up. Got me tripping, when the weekend comes, it's time to have fun. If I'm being honest, I think about you day and night. With you in my thoughts, it all feels right. Yeah. I think about you only because you are my one of a kind. And I can't get you off my mind, girl. I need your loving, cause I can't get you out of my mind. Come on, baby, give me your loving. Got to have your loving, cause I can't get you out of my mind. Baby, just give me your loving. My mind is full of thoughts of you and all the things that we can do. You got me feeling like Joe to see, like boys to men, I'm on bended knees. I try to get you out of my head and put these thoughts of you to bed. But no matter what I try, I still can't get you off my mind. If I'm being honest, I think about you day and night. I can't get you out. With you in my thoughts, it all feels right. I think about you only because you are my one of a kind. Your love, baby. And I can't get you off my mind, girl. I need your loving, cause I can't get you out of my mind. Come on, baby, give me your loving. Got to have your loving, cause I can't get you out of my mind. Baby, just give me your loving. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. I need your loving. I need your loving. Give it to me. Come on. Give it to me. I need your loving. I need your loving. Come on. Girl, I need your loving, cause I can't get you out of my mind. Get you on my mind. Come on, baby, give me your loving. Got to have your loving, cause I can't get you out of my mind. I tried. Baby, just give me your loving. Yeah. Come on, baby, give me your love. I can't go without it, I need it. I tried to get you off my mind, but you're there all the time, and I can't.
Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sofa Chats with TnK. I am not the host tonight, but my good friends T.Wade and Kiexiza Rodriquez are the hosts tonight. So the host is with the mostest tonight. So I'm gonna get out of the way and I'm gonna let them do what they do, and you guys enjoy.
Hey everybody, welcome. I'm so glad to be here.
Welcome.
We have not done this in like so many years, so we are just so super excited and honored and happy and all those good things and all that good stuff to be back here on Trailblazers Radio. You know, we're glad to be back. You glad to be back?
Trailblazers. We're back.
Yes. So I am Kiexiza Rodriquez, better known as Diamond Butterfly as of late. I am your co-host for this evening with my husband, partner, T.Wade. For me, I'm an author, poet, singer, songwriter, cook, makeup artist. What don't I do is probably more of a better question. Mom, grandmom. We are grandparents. We are grandparents as of Tuesday. We are grandparents. Got the little baby girl sitting right here. And my fur baby, whenever I'm live, she wants to say hi. So she's driving me crazy right now because she wants to say hi. But yeah, so T-Wade, let them know who you are.
Is he lagging again?
You already did. Like T.Wade in the house, singer-songwriter, novelist, poet. I wear a lot of hats, so you know what it is. I love to sing. I love to write. So it all meshes together. I love what I do. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather now. Wow. And to top it all off, I am your host for tonight. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Welcome to Sofa. What is it? Sofa. What?
Chat.
I'm
My
enjoying
goodness.
myself. I'm messing
You're getting
with
old,
you.
babe.
I was
You're getting
hoping
old.
that, no, I was hoping you would say something.
Lord have
You
mercy.
told
Like
me I
I
was
was
gonna
hoping
jump
you
in.
would get me.
Okay.
Gotta have some fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So tonight
you gotta have some fun. You gotta have some fun.
we always
some
have
fun.
fun. That is like our middle name. It's Sofa Fun Chats. That's what we're gonna call it. It's Sofa Fun Chats. But tonight we're gonna talk about
Yeah.
a serious topic. Tonight we're gonna talk about a serious topic. We're gonna talk about mental health. And so we brought our boy Keith Belvin in, who is the founder of Braven Consultants and Braven Publishing as well, because he's also an author. He's a good friend. We've known him for many years, thanks to social media. He is a very, very powerful man, as is his wife. She's a very powerful woman. If y'all do not know these two, you need to get on Facebook. You need to get wherever they are. You need to get their books. You need to get in his chat group and listen. He gonna feed your soul. He's gonna feed your mind. So we invited him on so that he could lend his expertise to this subject. So I'm gonna read a little bit of his bio. Keith guides individuals through crisis and emotional healing with a blend of faith and professional expertise, holding 2 master's degrees, MHSC and MSED. And Keith, when you get on, I'm gonna have you break down what all of those mean. There's a whole bunch of letters. Keith is committed to helping all in need, regardless of their faith. Keith specializes in addressing emotional problems through person-centered counseling. Keith's primary focus is on women and men ages 40 to 70 years old who are recovering from the effects of toxic relationships and need personal development support. But he does work with others outside that range, some children and some young adults. He is an award-winning author, yes he is, and poet, and has been featured in award-winning anthologies and documentaries. I'm not going to go through all of his books, but I'm going to tell y'all just need to look him up. Get on Facebook, get on Amazon, wherever, just look him up. Look up Braven Consultants, look up Keith, what is it,
KL.
I knew I was missing a letter. KL Belvin, look him up, friend him, get in his group, and you will be blessed. I guarantee you will be blessed. So we are honored to have you here today as our professional guest so that you can lend your expertise to this subject, because this is a serious, much needed subject to talk about.
No doubt. Well, thank you so much. I no matter how old I get, when I hear my bio read, I'm kind of like, that's me. I'm trying to forget what I do, but thank you, Kai and T. Thank you so much, and Fred. It's a pleasure to meet you. And yeah, I appreciate it. And yes, I wear a lot of hats like yourself, and we've known each other for years. And myself, I am an author, poet, grandparent, and I have a bunch of kids, and I write about it and talk about it. And more importantly, I just help people who are struggling with relationships, struggling with themselves. And that seems to be a thing now, simply because with this pandemic, what it opened up was how bad off many of us were. And then when forced to retreat to our homes, we didn't know how to deal with each other. So a lot of relationships got destroyed because of this pandemic. Domestic abuse went up, child abuse went up, and I'm sure that if I did the research, probably the divorce rate went up as well. So what I simply do is try to make it make sense for people who are at that last rung on the ladder. I'm a crisis specialist, which means I'm the person that people call when they don't have anywhere to turn, when they feel that that's it. I don't know what else I'm gonna do. And this is what I do. I work with churches to try to get churches to pay a portion of my fee so their parishioners can get the help that they need. And I literally try to make myself available. As you mentioned, I do have the group on Facebook, but I also go live every Friday from 11:30 to 1 o'clock or 1:30, depending on how the conversation is going. because I want to make myself accessible, because that's, I think, one of the mistakes that professionals make is that, yes, you do what you do for money, and I get that, but you still have to make yourself available to people in some way that they don't have to pay. So at least it gives them motivation to actually find money to want to pay you on the other end. And so, and it also allows me to feature my books. And my most recent book is 12 Steps to Recovering from a Toxic Relationship. And again, it was written as a guide to help people maneuver what to do once they've gotten out of bad relationships. And it came about because a young lady on TikTok 7 or 8 months ago said, I really wish there was something out there that could help me. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna write that. And so I put it on my radar and I wrote it. So it's been out for about 2 months, and so far so good. So yeah, that's who I am. It's what I do.
That's cool. Toxic relationships. That in of itself is a show all by itself. There you go, Tony. There go the topic. There go your topic for next Wednesday. Oh my goodness.
I
So
already told you that's the topic. I already told you that's.
I know you said relationships. You did. You said relationships. Tony has a show every other Wednesday, so we're gonna do our show every second and fourth Wednesday, and then he has every first and third Wednesday, and then I have my own show on Mondays. So we're gonna talk about everything under the sun, and have some fun and all of that type of stuff. But we figured we're gonna jump in the deep end right out the gate. And because we've had some friends lately that have been going through some things. We've seen our timeline just hitting with, especially our men, just talking about, to be a guy, you gotta hold it all in. You gotta man up. That's what it means to be a man. And I'm like, no, that's not what it means to be a man, because you can cry too. You can do all of the stuff that women do. It's not feminine energy. I'm so tired of hearing that. It's feminine energy for a man to be emotional.
Mm-hmm. Well, part of that problem is twofold: from the brothers that brothers hang out with, and from women. Yeah. And the reason why is brothers don't allow other brothers to be emotional because they chastise them for being soft. So automatically you don't want to open up that way unless the situation is a megaton bomb. Okay, your lady cheated on you, lady, leave. So the brothers will accept that, because the first thing I ask, what's wrong with you? And then when you start crying and say it's my lady, then it's like, okay, they'll sympathize with you and they're like, all right, bro, and they'll do whatever. And in some, their means of coping is, let's go out and find you some woman to do something nasty with, as if that's going to make a difference of what just happened. Or let's go out and get drunk or high as a way to kind of take away the pain. Neither one of those are ways to deal with the situation. But unfortunately, because it has to be something super major, there's nothing that leads up to that to be able to get brothers the help that they need. Now, my sisters, the problem with the sisters is y'all don't want soft men. So where's the man supposed to find comfort to be soft when he listens to podcasts, he listens to interviews, he sees the memes, and you have all these women, good-looking women, who say, I don't want no soft man.
Right.
Okay. So then where is the off-road? Where's the landing spot for a brother who's going through something? There's not too many. That is why folks in relationships, marriages, solid marriages, the first thing you notice is none of those qualities are actually in play. In marriages, quality marriages, you hear the man say, my wife is everything. Quality marriages, you hear the wife say, my husband is everything. So what you see in quality marriages to what you see from folks who are talking about relationships is basically two different stories. So then how are you supposed to figure out which is the righteous thing to listen to and which is the foolishness that's getting a whole lot of clicks? Well, to me, it's simple. Go talk to the people who's been married 20 years. Go talk to the people who's been married 50 years. Go talk to the people who's been married 60 years. They're not on social media. And that's the problem. The folks who have something to say, most folks don't listen to because it's not sensational. Nobody wants to hear that, yeah, you might have to not talk to her tonight. And then tomorrow y'all pick it up and figure it out. That don't get clicks. But if I can sit down and come up with some nasty or negative, derogative thing to say, well, people pay attention to that. So that's one of your biggest issues right there.
Yeah, I noticed, and it's something that even I had to
Keith,
catch myself doing.
Go ahead, Tom.
Go ahead, Tony.
All right. Oh, I was just gonna ask Keith, how do you combat that type of thinking? That how do we get past that? How do we correct that? Because a lot of that is built up. It's something that's been taught and seen for a minute. It's not something that happens overnight where you become soft. It's a bunch of people coming at you, telling you what a soft man is, and what how you're not supposed to be this, that, or the other. You've had a while of women telling you they don't want a soft man, and men taking in all of this. It happens over a period of time. So how do we address that? How do we get past that, which has become a norm for many men out there?
Well, the first thing is get professional help, because the professional lacks the emotional connection to the situation. So that's one. Second is distance yourself from those who have not experienced the very thing that you're looking for. That's where quality research comes in. And then the bigger thing, more than anything else, is be honest with yourself. If you look around you and the men around you are not married, they're not the ones you need to talk to. If you look around you and the sisters around you are not married and have not been in long-term relationships, I don't need them right now. I can come and talk to them later, but right now I need direct information that's going to help me to change my mindset. And you cannot change your mindset unless you're going to go to someone who's not only just going to give you the information, they're going to help you process the information that they give you. When a person comes to me in a counseling session, one of the first questions that I ask is, like any doctor or anybody, any professional, why are you here? What is it that you want? And if you don't know, well, then now we have to do an assessment to try to figure out what is actually the problem. The thing is self-acknowledgement. Are you happy? And I ask this question in any counseling session. I started off early. Are you happy? And the dramatic pause tells me everything that I need. Most people, if they say yes too quickly, cool. Well, why was that yes? Well, what makes you happy? And when they can't explain it, then that means they were just on auto. They knew to say yes, or they thought that's what I wanted to hear. You telling me yes just triggers what direction we're going to go in. But you can't have these conversations if your circles are not solid, because your circles are supposed to feed you. So to your point, Tone, it really comes down to, once you acknowledge that you need assistance, you have to do the research so you go to get the proper help. If there's something wrong with your ear, you're not at the foot doctor. You might go to the foot doctor, but you're not, and he may say, well, let me just take a look. But if you have a problem, you're going to go to the specialist. Now, that doesn't mean you lose your general practitioner, the person that you talk to who covers most things. So you don't lose your friends. But if something is, I need a specialist for, you go get that first. Then you can come back to your friends and say, I was just with a dude who pointed out, we spend so much time arguing about Jordan and LeBron. We don't talk about love. What? Get your soft. Hold on. You call me soft. We spent 5 hours the other day arguing about LeBron and Steph and all this and Jordan. But none of us talk about love. Who want to talk about love? That's what my counselor was telling me. So you don't lose the friends. You just don't go to them for the initial advice first. You bring the information back to them once I give it to you. So that's what I would say to your question.
So I got a question for you, Keith.
Come
so
on.
This is kind of
And
plays
that's the
into
thing, men don't. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Tony. You got it.
I got you, Tone. I understand.
I think he's on a lag, so I think he's hearing us like a second later, 2 seconds after we done started.
Yep. So I do got a question for you, Keith. And this is kind of sort of plays into what you were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you think that
I'm just
it's
saying,
also
we need, like you just hit on a point. We don't have. I'm sorry. What I want to say is we really don't talk about love.
No, we
Sorry
don't.
about that, Fred.
Well, we don't talk about it with our boys. We talk about it with our ladies in private, or we talk to our one closest friend or two.
The question I had was kind of and I think this kind of speaks to what all of us as Black people as a whole. So, do you think that it also the socio-political malfactors play a part in our emotional and mental conditions as Black men and Black women?
Oh, of course. Well, here's the thing, and you cannot look at the current state of anything without looking at the positioning that got us here. And I talk about this in my counseling session. We're going to go in the past to get information, right? But we're not going to bring the emotion of the past forward because there's already enough emotion here. So to your point, Fred, we have to look at what happened to people of color in a global situation and go through the years and realize that that was just outright abuse.
Yeah.
Right. And we've only been technically out of that abusive situation since 1865. So you're looking at 35, you're looking at 158 years. But we were in that bondage for almost 400 years. Well, you need at least 400 years to even out what you've been a part of. So here's the thing is that when you look at the abuses and the atrocities that happen there, travel those through time and just look at the different, and my African-American professor years ago would say to me, look at every 25 years. All right. Don't try to absorb it all. Just look at every 25 years and you can kind of get a feel for where things are flowing. And what I mean by that is if you look at the Black Panthers 10-point plan, it would fit what's happening now in communities in 2023. So a lot has not changed. A lot of the requests that were asked back then are still the requests now. So to your point, yes, we suffer from those things, but the thing that is different now more than any other time on this planet is we have access to information at speeds that we never had them before. So we have phones that are called smart, but yet we are stupid. That is a problem.
Boy, you said a mouthful right there, man.
A mouthful right there. I've always said as ladies, and I have 3 sons. So my sons, when they were growing up, I tried to, let them know it's okay to cry. It's okay to do this. It's okay to do that. Because I noticed, and I always found it funny that we raise, man up. Boys ain't supposed to cry. You okay? You fall down. Get up. You're all right. Your daughter falls down. It's poor baby. So we start early on. Then we grow up. We get with men, and we mad that they don't know nothing about emotions. They're unemotional. They don't know how to talk to us. They don't know how to deal with us. But we are, as women, we are raising boys and telling them to shut down their emotions, then become adults and want a man who's in tune with his emotions. And that doesn't make any sense.
Actually, it does. We are teaching boys to be what we want in the men that we want if we're speaking from women. But that's not what they need. They need guidance on how to be a well-rounded man. Well, that goes back to the argument of I can't teach my daughter to be the best daughter that she can be. I can make that attempt and I can learn, but not as much as it would be when my wife talks to her. Case in point, you can teach your son to be a great citizen and be a fine young man, but there's a difference in what a man will teach him, what Tony will teach him, what his father will teach him, what his uncle will teach him, what his grandfather will teach him, because there's just certain things that I can connect to feelings-wise that a mother cannot. Now, that doesn't reduce, and it doesn't mean that mothers cannot produce quality men. It just makes it harder. And so the key is, and I had this conversation when I'm out and when I'm speaking, and I'll say, ladies, pay attention. You're walking up the block, you and your son. You see a woman out half naked, and you look at her and go, oh, if you ever come home with somebody like that, I will rough you off. Your son looks at you and goes, you're right, mommy, no problem. Now, me and your son walking down the block, we'll see that same young lady. I'm like, ooh, okay. And now I'll say to him, go, that look good, right? Yeah. Let me tell you why you don't want that.
Exactly.
Let me tell you why that's not who you want to be. First of all, do you see your mom walking around like that? Second, what do you think she's doing out here 1 o'clock in the morning, or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or 9 o'clock in the, whatever it is? The conversation is going to be different because I'm going to acknowledge that I know you like the way that looks, but not all food is good food. And not all food that looks tasty is tasty. That's the reason why we look at that lettering on the restaurant window before we go in, because the restaurant says it's a C-rated restaurant. Ooh, wait a minute.
Right.
I don't care how good the burgers look. We might get sick. And that's what it is that we have to understand is that we're going to come to parent rearing from two different positions as male and female. That is why the design is to have the two parents. When you remove the two parents, yes, it's going to be a little more difficult. Yes, it's going to be different. And I don't want to take away from any of my LGBTQIA brothers and sisters as well. It is the understanding of what is needed to be able to pour that into the child from a dual position, whether it's two males, two women, or whatever, it's a homogenous group, whatever it is, because you have to be able to reach the child. That's why when you read my bio and it said person-centered, I have to look at the individual and deal with them where they are if I'm going to help them. Because if I try to move them into a box that works for me because it's more comfortable for me, I'm hurting them. Now, I spent 23 years in the classroom or in the New York City school system as a teacher and as a dean. And one of the things I used to notice is that teachers would come into an urban environment and try to force kids into a box that they were comfortable with because they didn't know how to speak to urban children. So I would explain to them, you're actually hurting this child. You're forcing this child to try to become something that's uncomfortable for them because you don't want to be comfortable. I mean, uncomfortable yourself. You want to be comfortable. You cannot teach from that position. If you really want kids to respect you, to listen to you, and to learn from you, you got to climb into where they are and understand that that kid might have had Chinese food for breakfast. That kid might not have both parents at home. So be careful when you say, I'm going to call your pops. There may be no pops there, and you just triggered this kid to tear your whole classroom up because of what you just said, because now they feel embarrassed. All those little things. So what has to happen is, and what this goes to, it goes back to solid communication of understanding. And Fred, this goes back to what you were mentioning. If I can understand my social economic situation, then I'm going to speak to certain people in a certain way compared to how I'm going to speak to somebody else somewhere else. And that's the code switching that most of us learn how to do. Yeah, we should learn how to do, because I code switch when I'm back home in New York and I'm out on the block. I'm not going to sound like the cat with the 2 master's degrees. I could, but if I need to speak like I'm on the block, then I'm going to speak like I'm on the block, because that might be the difference that saves my life in some of the neighborhoods where my people come from. And we got to understand that. But it also affects how we date. It affects who we date, and it affects how we see the person that we're digging and want to get into something with. And real quick, to Kai, what you were saying is, my master's degree, one is in human service counseling. That's the MHSC, Master's in Human Service Counseling. I actually specialize in Christian ministry. So I chose that because I work with churches and I try to get churches to pay to help their parishioners. My other master's degree is in education. I specialize in curriculum writing, assessment, and teaching. So I actually teach teachers how to teach. And I combine those two because I knew when I was teaching that I wanted to actually go out and counsel. I knew there was something I wanted to do after, especially when I was planning on leaving New York to come to Delaware, where I am now. And I paired the two together because every good teacher, and not every teacher that teaches is good, but every good teacher already understands how to counsel. I just wanted to learn how to do it more effectively to be able to help the people that I come in contact with.
Oh, that much.
I know. So
he said,
I know for me,
he said, no, he said churches. And I'm like, I'm gonna hold this question until I'm gonna hold this question.
Okay.
Hold this one.
Come on with it.
Got a deep one.
And it ain't deep. It's just kind of just a question. It's kind of a general question, really. What roadblocks have you come across dealing with religious folks? I was saying, what roadblocks have you come across dealing with religious folks when you counsel them?
Great
when
question.
it comes to when it comes to mental health and getting
question.
Professional help.
First and foremost, on my YouTube page, I spoke at a church recently where I discussed the myths about mental health in connection to the church. So, Fred, that's a great question. The roadblocks that I come across is the same closed-mindedness that forces people to leave the church. So one of the reasons why I chose the degree that I chose, the direction that I chose. So again, this leads to your question. I specialize in Christian ministry because I am in Ephesians 4. I'm going to preach a little bit right now. In Ephesians 4, I'm a real teacher. I'm a real teacher. So, and if you notice that a lot of folks in the church stay away from calling themselves teacher. We got 1,000 evangelists, we got 1,000 prophets, we got 1,000 preachers, we got 1,000 disciples. That on all the flyers, all that's cute. But you don't see nobody call themselves teachers. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because when you call yourself teacher, what comes out your mouth, you got to stand on at that moment. And a teacher doesn't say, God told me. A teacher has to use what God gave me, and that's different.
Right.
So a prophet can go, well, God told me, can't prove it. Disciple can say, God told me, can't prove it, and so forth with the evangelist and so forth with whoever else. But with a teacher, I got to be prepared that if you go, Keith, where's that in the Bible? Go to. Or Keith, that don't make no sense. Could you explain it to me? And I need to be able to, because how I call myself a teacher if I can't explain what I'm talking about. So the roadblocks that I face is that when I come in and start to challenge pastors on the very word that they're supposed to be preaching from, well, now I'm stepping on some toes. Now I'm causing some folks to get nervous. Well, the reason why I smile at that is that's what they killed Jesus for. Because remember, it was church folks that killed Jesus. The Romans did the deed, but it was church folks running around the crowds talking about, yo, we got to get rid of this dude because he was messing up the money. So the roadblocks that I face is that some very older saints don't like the open conversation in a way that I give it. They say I tend to play too much. It's okay. Or they say I'm disrespectful to God. I'm like, God told you that? Okay, just checking. And so, and I'm cynical at times and sometimes very crass when I want to be. And the reason why is because the church building was never supposed to be what it is, because the people are the church. And if we're not out amongst people, and I challenge people using the book, I don't have to fight you with scripture. I just simply show me where Jesus spent most of his time, and it won't be in church. It's not in synagogue. So when I use the very words that you're supposed to be swearing by, you now have to make the decision where you're just going to try to shut me down because you don't like me, which is a form of vanity, or you're going to stop and listen to me and then have me be the teacher that I'm supposed to be, which means then explain to me, Keith, what is it that you're trying to do? And I'll give you an example. We hear in churches the restoring of one's mind. Yes. Okay. Now we feed all the chicken in the world. We make all the dinners and the dinner plates in the world. That's cool. We give away a whole lot of Cokes and all that. That's cool too. How do you restore somebody's mind if you don't have a professional do it? So if we're supposed to be restoring of one's mind, I believe it's Romans 12 something. If we're supposed to be restoring one's mind, how do we do that if you don't actually have the professional who's going to be willing to go in there, help the person make sense of it all, and then come back out and be able to leave them in a position where they can do for themselves instead of being tied to me, so I don't make you now beholden to me when God is the one that you're supposed to be beholden to. See, that's intricate work right there. But most folks don't want to do that work, so the first thing they do is, I ain't listening to him. I don't know what he's talking about. That ain't in the Bible. Really? Okay. Show me where. And I teach my students this too. Show me, or tell me why. Challenge the norm, because that's what Jesus did. So if we're really supposed to be doing what Jesus did, we should be challenging anything that's not godly, right? And I'll give you one last one. It's real simple. If you look at the New Testament, the way it's structured, Jesus shows up at the beginning of the book to go, what y'all doing? This ain't what my father wanted. What y'all doing? So they off him. The next set of books is the disciples going out here to do what they were supposed to do, what they were commissioned to do, the Great Commission. Well, they were murdered too. All of them, except for one. And as you go through the rest of the Old Testament, it's all stories to try to get you to understand you need to get it right. Well, let's get to the last book, Revelations 2. 5 of the 7 churches were out of pocket. Why? because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So if the beginning of the book starts with a brother showing up and saying, y'all doing it wrong, and the end of the book says, y'all did it wrong, how strong is this church thing again? Fight me if you want. But bring your Bible when you do. I'm not going to fight you physically. I'm too big for it. But folks don't want to have that conversation because they automatically take new information disrespectful. It's not new information. It's just looking at what's written. Now, this is where my educational background comes in. I am a real teacher. I'm a real Ephesians 4 teacher, which means my gift is the ability to speak and the ability to teach. So when I talk, you will see it. You will start to consider it. And if you're really open, you will start to learn. Now, don't fight me if what I'm getting you to learn makes you feel uncomfortable. That's what quality teaching is supposed to do. So I don't got to fight with you. Just show me where I'm wrong. And now you'll teach me.
All day.
So what do
Keith,
do you run into
journey?
Go ahead, T.
Listen.
You and this lagging boy.
Keith, when did you start your journey?
I'm gonna need you to go out and come back in.
Now, you know what you do, Tone? Hold your hand up. That way we know when you're going to speak. They got you. Because Tone popping in like that drunk uncle when you at the barbecue. What y'all doing? Go ahead, brother. What's your question?
My question to you is, when did you start, as far as the education goes on the topic of mental health, when did you start that? How long ago? How much of a process has this been for you? You're walking around with 2 masters. So like, where did this journey start for you?
2006 at a hotel in South Jersey, waiting on a young lady that I was supposed to be getting together with, who I had already got caught cheating with. And she was supposed to show up. And when she didn't show up that night, that's what put everything into motion. I've always counseled. But the problem is I used all my gifts to serve me. 2006 is what started the process of me serving God. So in 2006, I already had the first master's degree because I needed that to teach. But in 2006, once I made the change and that I was going to change my life and go in a different direction, well, then my gifts made a way for everything else. Because the first was the healing. It took me 2 years to fix what was going on at home. Tiff had caught me cheating 3 times. Yeah, 3 times before we got married. And I had to fix that. So when we got married a year and a half later, and late in 2007, it now was, how do I build on the new me and turn that into something? So that was the process, because now going to Bible study, never really co-signed into a church, but I've become a strong fan and believer of the Lord. And I went to Bible study for 4 years. And I found that the more I studied, the more I understood the word, the more I understood how many people don't understand it. Because you give an educator anything long enough, he or she will figure out how to make it make sense. So as I started to get myself to the point that I knew I didn't want to be in New York anymore, I realized that I needed to do something else. So in 2015, I decided that I wanted to counsel. I wanted to build mental health ministries. So I said, you know what? How can I do that? So I looked up and decided I'm going to go back to school. And I had people say to me, you already got 1 master. Why do you need the second one? Because it'll fit what I'm trying to do. And that's what put me on the pathway to go in that direction. And studying for a master's degree, I went to Liberty University because I wanted to go to a far right university, because I wanted to see what folks who don't look like me are learning. I also wanted it because I wanted folks, when they saw the degree, to think I was somebody else and automatically let me in the door. And by the time they let me in, realize I'm not that. You don't let a hood dude in, too late. I'm here. So a lot of people see Liberty University and they go, oh, that's a Republican school. Let's go. We need him. And then I get there, they go, nah, that's not what we thought. Too late. Let's go. I'm here. So that was another part of the plan. I don't do anything without having an idea of what I'm trying to do. But I realized that for the moves that I was going to make, I needed the education to move myself into position. Now I'm building the certifications that I need. Because I said I'm a certified marriage counselor. I'm a certified Christian counselor. I'm working on my state certification here in Delaware. I still have my teaching licenses in both states. And now it's just a slow grind to build everything that I need to build my practice up. But it's more, this is how I serve God. And I serve God by not having the church dictate to me what I do, but just being consistent what I do. So the churches who want what I have will rock with that. Like this Sunday, I'm teaching for the pastor who won't be able to preach this Sunday. And he asked me to come and speak at 9 and 11. Now, this is the second time that I've spoken at the church. And I worked with another church in Maryland, and there was a church in Alabama that had gotten in contact with me. So all I focus on is what I do and how my journey is, and let the Lord take care of the rest. I think that's the thing to your question, Tone. I think the problem is we try to overthink our journey. You don't have to. Just stay consistent with whatever you're trying to do, and the Lord will bring you what you need or present to you what's there, and then you still got to go get it. So, yeah, I would say the last 17 years, bro, is what my journey has been.
Dang. What a journey.
How do you find, I know, laying cards on the table, coming from an abusive childhood, all types of things, and then growing up into an adult, not really knowing what love is, not really knowing what happiness is, being taught that my job was to make everybody else happy. So feeling guilty when I do anything for myself, all of that type of stuff. And then Tony has his own upbringing and his own things that, he was taught or whatever, his own mindset. In your therapy with couples, how does that affect if they haven't had individual therapy at some point and now they're together? It's got to affect relationships, marriages.
Oh, yeah. But it can affect it to the great. Let me tell you why. Hurt people, abuse people, right?
Right.
And two hurt people can't heal each other, but two hurt people can support each other. So the thing that you have to realize is, one, you just made a great mention. Tony has his hurts, I have mine. Cool. Because you acknowledged it. Now do something about it. Support each other as you heal, because you can't heal each other. But what you can do is support each other while each of you heal. And it makes it easier having somebody else. And even if, say, you're not ready, but Tony is, support him. Or if you're ready and Tony's not, he should support you, because the remnant of that is going to rub off on both of you. Because as he sees you getting better, if you love him, like you say, you're going to want to see him get better. So you're going to pour that back over into him, because what are you going to do? And like all of us, like little kids that we are, when we have new information, we can't wait to share it. Tone, you know what? That's regression. I learned that in counseling, and you're regressing, and you need to come. And now here's where the marriage gets tested. When one starts to do well, the other one may now pull back, because they may now feel that they can't keep up. And it is very important that the two of you have very strong, open communication, so the person does not believe that they're being left behind, because now you are healing. But there is a point in every marriage and every relationship and every journey. If the other person does not want to get help, then you got to just push on and get that help that you need for yourself, because you cannot stay in the dark hole with the person when you actually have a candle and the map for the way out. You offer to that person, come follow me, let me join you, let's do whatever. But if they're like, no, I'm not going, deuces. I'm going on up this ladder, and I'm taking my light with me. And if you want to sit here in the dark, I'll send somebody back for you.
Wow.
Yeah. we are taught that it's our responsibility to make our partners happy. If you love me, she don't make me happy. He don't make me happy. I gotta make him happy. I gotta make her happy. And
say that again. We're taught to do what?
Make other people happy. It's our jobs to make other people happy.
No, you're taught to make sure you're happy first, and the people that you bring into your life, husband, whoever, is to enhance that happiness. No person can make you happy. They can only help you and assist you in a happiness that you have already shown them that you require. Part of the problems that we have is that we were taught by parents who weren't happy themselves. And those many generational curses carried on. So here we are. A lot of our sisters are serving men who don't deserve to be served. Here we got a lot of men who are husbands that should have never said I do. But because they thought that's what they were supposed to do, or they thought that's what the manly thing was to do, myself included, I am happily divorced because I'm happily remarried. And if I hadn't got rid of my first situation, I would not be able to be happy in this one. So I am happy in both state of mind. But the reason why happiness has to be an internal thing first, if you tie it to somebody else, if they leave you or victimize you, they have now snatched all happiness from you, and you are left more empty than you were before they showed up. Yeah. But once you look internally and fix internally and understand everything that's going to make you happy, and you then extend that to somebody else and say, here's what I need to be happy, and I think you can help me build on that. Now y'all forming a bond where the two of you in a symbiotic relationship are breathing happiness back and forth into each other, and the two of you become one thing that's stronger than either one of you apart. That is the true definition of marriage, which Genesis tells us, but we don't look at that part. We just get together and get married for all the wrong foolish reasons, but that's another conversation.
Look. But I think what people get mixed up is the symbiosis of it, the symbiosis part of it, the symbiotic part of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, they don't understand it because you can't understand what you've never experienced.
Right.
And you can't understand what you've never been taught. So if you got an angry divorced mom, angry single mom, dad who was out there slinging peen because that's what he was taught, where are you supposed to learn the symbiosis? How are you supposed to develop the symbiotic relationship? Do you even understand what a symbiotic relationship is? So for anybody watching goes, what is he talking about? It is the connection between the two individuals that when they actually serve each other because of the connection. So the symbiotic relationship is by being connected to me, my wife is better at being her. By me being connected to her, I am better at being me. So together we form something that would not have been seen apart. Now, that doesn't mean apart I'm not good at being me or her being good at being her. It is when we fuse it together that we become a force. And Kai, you just mentioned it when it first came on. If you have not seen him and his wife, well, then that means I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, is that when people introduce me, they say, but check out his wife. That means I've done what I'm supposed to do, that when they see us together or they've experienced us together, they get a feeling from us together. That's the symbiotic relationship at play.
Wow. Now, okay, so I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking on that, what if you have a couple that together they can be powerful together and everyone around them sees them as a power couple, but they do still have a lot of turmoil when, I don't want to say when they're apart, but when it's not all eyes on them. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like we are happy, we are wonderful, but the second we walk in that house, it's like there's an invisible shield that just stops all the happiness and joy and pulls it out of you and leaves it on the porch. And now you're in the house and you're like, what just happened? It's like all the love, all the joy, everything just got sucked out of us.
Mm-hmm.
But when they out and about, they can feel that.
Mm-hmm. Public success, private failures. Because it means that you set everything up to look a certain way in public, but you never actually addressed what's wrong. You never actually addressed what makes you too happy. So you're faking it. And when you get home, there's no reason to fake it because I know who you are. You know who I am. So, and that's how I was when I was married before. We faked it when we would go out in public, but neither one of us wanted to be with each other, but we had children. And that was kind of seeping over into our children. So to answer your question, what has to happen is honesty. See, there's some things that are very simple. Truth and honesty are connected. If I tell you the truth and I'm being honest, I'm not happy. Well, we got two choices. You can act like you didn't hear me, or you can hear what I just said, and now we got to do something. Now, it is the do something that creates the problem. Most people know they with the wrong person. If you gave them truth serum, you really like your boyfriend? No. You really like your girlfriend? No. So why you with him? He pays the bills. I like the way she gets down in the bedroom. We got kids. We got bills that we got to pay together. And I can't leave right now. Okay. So there's something keeping you in place. But at the end of the day, none of it is worth your unhappiness. People don't want to face the outcome of leaving a negative situation because they're fearful of the devil they don't know. So they cling to the devil that they do. Everything requires work once you come to an understanding that something is not right. That's what a toxic relationship is. Most people think toxic relationship is the ghetto relationships that we see fostered on television and the people who yell and scream at each other. Toxic relationships are any relationships that fosters a behavior that does not promote happiness. Now let that roll around for a little bit in your head and think, well, Keith, that could be everybody. Yeah. And a lot of people in toxic relationships that they don't even realize they're in. Frowning when they get home, frowning when their significant other walks into a room, more excited to be at work, where we come up with stupid terms like the work husband and the work wife. What the fuck? Please. So we've now come up with terms to try to gloss over what we have at home. And most of the people who say the work husband and the work wife got somebody at home. So the idea is that we try to create facades instead of lifting the veil and saying, what is it that my work husband brings to my life that my real husband doesn't? Why do me and him have this great connection at work, but I don't have that connection with my girlfriend or my boyfriend, whatever the situation is? Because many of us don't want to have honest conversations with ourselves that may cause us to be alone. Some of us are so scared to be alone that we will cuddle up next to a person who we know is no good. And we'll make excuses like, but you don't know how he's blowing my back out. That's enough. That's enough for you. You don't understand what she got that good Keith. You don't understand. That's enough. Yes, if that's all you got. And that's what happens. Too many of us will take the nickel and cling to it as if there's no dollars out there in the world.
Damn. Oh my God.
That's
and we'll fight you for the nickel too.
We'll fight you for
the nickel. Even though you're holding $1, they'll fight you for the nickel though.
Right. So how do we? I know, and I know that you were saying earlier about getting into therapy, but how do you, from an early age, how do we stop this cycle from being 20-year-olds chasing love in all the wrong places, not understanding self-love and all of that stuff? And I'm quite sure the answer is it starts at home. But if you are a parent who were never, like you said, you didn't see it, you don't know it, your dad wasn't around, or your dad was around, but you can be in the house and still be an absentee parent. Your father was in and out of your life, your mom was whatever, now you're raising another generation of the same. How do we fix the problem?
One, acknowledge it. And then 2, deal with it. Because the acknowledgement is the hard part. I didn't have my father until I was 39. But I needed him more at 39 than I did at 19. We'd have fought at 19. 19, we'd have fought every day. I wasn't trying to hear nothing that any man had to say at 19. I wasn't trying to hear it. But at 39, yeah, I needed to have a conversation. How do you deal with all these kids? How do you deal with being this and being that? How did you deal with it? But at some point, somebody in the chain. One of the generations has to put the brakes on. It can't be your grandma was like this and your mom was like this and you're like this. Now your daughter's waiting in the wings to be it herself. No, somebody has to look around and go, you know, we don't have to eat chitlins every night, right? You know, there's other meats at the supermarket. No, my mom ate chitlins and your grandmother ate chitlins and her grandmother ate chitlins. So that's all we eat in this house is chitlins.
Oh my
At some
goodness.
point, somebody's got to go, no, I've seen people eat other meats. What? We don't do that here. I'm not eating no more chitlins. And be prepared for the backlash because now they're going to fight you, maybe even beat you.
Yep.
And then it's time to go. Gather yourself first. Break the cycle within you first. Surround yourself with other people who have broken that cycle. That's where support groups become primary. Because you need to be around other folks to be able to say, Kai, Tone, Fred, it is okay for you to feel that way. I felt that way when I gave up chitlins. But how do you do when your family don't want to talk to you no more? Let them go. Offer steak to them. Even take some to them. And if they don't want it, then go ahead back home because they're going to eat the chitlins regardless. And be okay being alone, but never embrace loneliness.
Ooh.
And that's important to your point. And I joke about it because I don't want to offend everybody. So I had to choose something that can't nobody argue with. Anybody argue with chitlins. But that's how you deal with it. Tone, you had a question, bro, because I know you're sitting there like, because I know, come on, Tone. What was your question?
No, I don't. I mean, personally, when it comes down to it, like I'm an advocate for marriage. I'm an advocate for people doing what they got to do and trying to break the chains of past generations. There's a lot of that. I'm thinking a lot of it comes, however, a lot of it is it could possibly be taught. It's something that we also get from our homes. A lot of it. My mother was super hard on us, and I didn't have my father around. Didn't have him. He was absentees. It doesn't even begin to describe what he was. You know, there were days where I sat on my front steps waiting for him all Sunday afternoon. He's supposed to be there at 12. Don't get there till maybe 5, or he doesn't show. Like, how do we break that chain?
Well, first and foremost,
per se, it's hard. Like, there's some things that I know women have. There are certain people I know. Like, my sister's strong. My sister overcame what it was that she was going through when we were younger. She came through that. She had kids of her own, and she said, you know what? Not gonna be like mom was to us. Not gonna do that. Not gonna be absentees like dad was. Not gonna do that. And she moved forward. So I'm very proud of her. There are some things that I'm finding out because I'm one of them men who I saw, I ended up seeing there were things that I needed fixing, and I ended up going to therapy, which is to some is taboo. But I'm like, I need a good and I've got a great therapist right now. I talk to her once a week.
Love it.
She lays it down. She's open with me. Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, like, there's struggles that I've had. My sister, it was easier for her. So there's a lot of this stuff that comes from the past. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm 50 some odd years old. So like, I've got 50 some odd years of experience in the backfield and learning this stuff or experiencing this stuff. And for me, it was hard. It's still hard in some instances to break them chains because they were embedded in me, especially when me and my mother were like alone. Like my sister didn't come in until I was 8. You know what I mean? And through all of that, it was me and my mother. No father. And I took on her traits, and her traits were not great. I'm not gonna lie, they weren't great. So there's a lot of things I say and do, and it reminds me of my mother. And I get mad when I think about it, because it's like, okay, you just totally messed up my mental. Like I'm here, I am 50 something, and I'm discovering things through therapy about my mother that I didn't even stop to think about, and that I grabbed and just carried with me. And it became a part of me, and it's hard to break that. It really is. It's not that I don't want to break them. They're innate. They're embedded rather inside of me. So now I have to go through the effort and through the therapy of breaking those habits that I had that could be detrimental in other areas.
Well, first thing,
so I think a lot of it, there's also a lot of it that has to do with that.
Got you. Well, here's what I would offer to you, Tony, and I'm your age. I'm 55. I'll be 56 in a couple of months, so I get it. The first thing I want you, and I'm gonna challenge you on this, and I'm gonna put my counselor hat on right now since you gave me some information, right? One, you're a songwriter, right? I remember you're a songwriter, correct?
Yeah.
Do you write the song for you, or do you write the song for the person that's going to hear it? Or a combination of both?
For the person that's going to hear it. Actually, it's a combination of both.
Thanks for being honest with me. I was about to say, thank you for being honest with me. So what happens is, to write the song, because it comes from you, yes, we all write for ourselves, but we also have to stop and consider who's going to hear it. Now, why did I say that? The language that you choose to use to express yourself when explaining yourself is what you have to work on. When you say something is embedded, you've just created a wall. When you say, I took on her traits, you created a wall. When you say, I get mad at it, but yet hold on to it, we're turning our back to the wall. So here's what we do. Yes, I had a bad experience with my mom, but I'm in a great place right now because I'm grown and can deal with what I got to deal with. Yeah, I see some things that I do that remind me of my mom, but I'm not her. It is the language that we choose that affects the steps that we take. When you're writing a song, that's why I asked you about writing a song. If you're trying to write a love song, I'm going to say, what type of love song? Is it a romantic love song? Is it an Isley Brothers joint where everybody going to get butt naked as they listening to it? Whatever it is. Is it something that you envision cats walking down the beach and holding hands? Or whatever the scenario is going to start with you, because you're going to give it vision of what you think or what you believe the people who listen to this should be feeling. Because when I wrote poetry, and I haven't written anything in a while, but when I wrote, I knew who I was writing to. It was women. But I knew what I was trying to say, because it's how I would hide my hurt and then be able to slide it into what I wrote, because it would cause people to react. Well, the easiest way to let that go is the words that I choose to use. The Lord says the power of life and death is in the tongue. So if I use negative words to express myself, well, then I am manifesting the very chains that I am trying to break, because I'm literally giving them life. As grown men, the thing that we were never taught how to do is how to release negative energy. We were never taught how to release the bondage that came from parents who didn't understand how to be parents. Well, the way that we do that is, one, go find a mirror, stand in front of it, and I want you to look at it. And then I would ask you, do you see your mom or do you see you? You're going to say, I see me. Okay. So you're not your mom. You are affected by, we all are affected by who raises us. But that doesn't dictate who we are. It just dictates what we experienced. Our experiences changed the minute I got on this call. We had never been in this environment before. So you are not the same person that you were with an hour and 5 minutes ago? No. So you're automatically different. Now, what you choose to do or what we talked about in this last hour and 5 minutes is on you. But you're not the same person. None of us are. None of us are what we were as children. We are the echoes of what happened. But echoes fade. And if I say no other words, the echo will disappear. But if I keep yelling, and if I keep saying the same thing, the echo will sound like it's just consistent. It'll sound like there's somebody else in this cavern with me.
Right.
But if I leave the cavern, and if I say nothing, there is no sound. And if I go somewhere else and I speak to someone who will actually speak back to me, well, we're not even worried about the echo now because I got somebody I can have a conversation with. Hence, that's why marriage is fantastic. But we tend to not look at it. This is how people screw the Bible up. If God created man, ain't nobody gonna argue that. But the very first thing he goes is, man shouldn't be alone. He makes him a woman. Okay, now there's gonna be some people arguing, whatever your belief is, that it's okay. The point that I'm getting at is, if you notice, we're at our worst when we're what? Alone. It is even proven that men in jail had to stop putting them in solitary confinement for days because they see that people that couldn't see the sun and couldn't get out of themselves was hurting themselves. We were not designed to be alone. One of the greatest traps ever created is this brain right here. We get inside here and don't want to let nobody in. Well, this is the challenge to you, Brother Tone. How do I let other people in and be comfortable with then letting out the things I don't like? Now, the great part was when you said you went to therapy. I wrote it down. So first of all, compliment to your sister for being able to overcome the little negative that you shared. And compliments to you for going to therapy because you made a major step to going to speak to a stranger about something that's going on with you. But now my challenge to you is make sure you do the homework, the steps that the therapist is giving you, because in time, those Band-Aids can be pulled off and what's under it is healed. Just give it time. Time is the key. But time with solid work. We all gonna get older, but it's the work that we do while we're getting older that changes. That is so true.
Thanks for that. Yeah. Thanks for that.
No doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm not one to. Go ahead, Tom.
You're gonna start raising your hand, Anthony.
I ain't starting no feud. I'm gonna sit and take my spot right here. I ain't starting no problem.
On my own show.
It's not that. It's we're gonna beat up your internet provider.
It's funny because we on the same unless you're on yours, the one from upstairs, because we
No,
do.
my wife and I used to go through that. I had an old laptop and she had the new one. She's blazing around like in a new car, and mine was like running out of gas. So I couldn't play music. I couldn't do nothing. I just had to stand there and smile. Yeah.
Lord, good grief.
How do you deal, or I don't even want to say how do you deal. I mean, and I guess this is for anybody. I know Tony's in therapy and you are a therapist. Fred, I don't know what your background is as far as that goes, but I know for me personally, my struggle with therapy, I've been in and out of therapy over my lifetime. This is probably the longest stint that I've been in therapy. COVID really messed me up because therapists came and went. I'd get a good one and then they'd leave. And then I'd have to start all over again with somebody else and got to tell them all that thing. And we may not click. And then she's gone. And, so that becomes issues, with me, how long are you going to be here? How invested do I need to be with you? But for me, the problem has always been, I know the past affects the present. It affects the future. But if there's a volcano erupting right now, how do I deal with the volcano that's erupting over there that's flowing and causing this one to erupt? That's been my issue, is I can never seem to deal with the wound underneath the Band-Aid, because there's always something going on right now that I have to deal with right now.
Got you. Great question. The first thing I would say is, do you really have to deal with it? Or do you choose to deal with it?
The current stuff?
Whatever it might be. That's the one thing I like. Stephen Covey writes in the book 7 Habits of Successful People, right? Do the most important thing first. Before you can help anybody else, right? You have to first challenge yourself. Am I good? If the answer is no, well, then you need to hold off, because unless somebody's jumping out of a window right now, you can get back to them, because you got to get you right just enough so you have a hold on yourself to be like, okay, I'm working on this. Now let me go help somebody else. You have to organize things in a way that it's like, one, how strong is your support system? Meaning, and I want to go back to the therapist thing real quick. Yes, real life gets in the way, and sometimes therapists leave. Sometimes they get frustrated and just don't want to do it no more. I get it. But the therapist is just one part. A strong support system is the people that you keep around you, the few family members who you trust, a good community, whether it's a business community, music community, whatever other communities that you're a part of. And then you create them so you have multiple avenues of people that you can be around that pour into you. So if the therapist unfortunately says I can't, and you got to start that over. Okay, well, now I'm going to turn to my other communities, and I'm going to bury myself in that for a little while me and my therapist are getting back up to speed. Because the idea is, the stronger the community, there you go, LaTanya, the stronger the communities, the stronger comfort I have around me, the bigger the pillow gets when I fall backwards. Because if I leave it all with the therapist, well, then I'm tied to the therapist, and now the therapist is gone, I'm in a state of disarray. But if I got good friends, well, in that short time while you're trying to figure things out, good friends will hold you down. If you got a strong business community, this might be the time for you to focus on your business, because I'll get the mental help as I'm building it back up. Because remember, you didn't say I'm stopping therapy. I don't like having to restart all over again. Okay. When you go to a bad restaurant, do you stop eating food because the food was bad? No. If you go to your favorite restaurant and find out that your chef said, the hell with this, I'm changing another state. Well, you ain't moving to the state where your new chef is going. You may try the new chef, or you're going to say, I can't come here no more. I only like the way that chef made it. But you're not going to stop eating food. In the meantime, this might be the time for you to start cooking. This might be the time to do other things. So there's always other avenues to healing. Actually, that's my moniker. Healing requires a pathway. Well, that pathway is different for every other person. So the thing that I would say to you is, do what you got to do. Don't stop the therapy. Try to find a therapist that you can have a long-term relationship. But I learned a long time ago as a teacher, I cannot get tied to making personal decisions because I'm worried about how the kids are going to take me leaving. No. My family needs me first. And then I'm going to say to the kids, I love y'all, but Mr. B got to go. If they're old enough, I'm going to tell them why I got to go. Because at the end of the day, I still got to take care of me. Now, don't get me wrong. When I left New York in 2016, that summer was tough because I had parents talking about, you got to stay. No, and I was like, hey, y'all, when I started the year, y'all was giving me the business. But by the time we got to the end of the year, the kids was crying. And even the principal said, you know, is there any way that maybe you could drive up from Delaware? I'm not driving all the way from Delaware to Brooklyn. No, this chapter is closed. Thank you, but 23 years is enough. I know why I'm leaving, and it's time for me to go. And we got to understand is that you cannot be tied to any one thing, so much so that you can't move when it's taken away from you or it's removed from you. Let's put it that way. I don't want to say taken away, sounds too aggressive. But if you have strong supports, if you have strong identification of this might be the time for me to get into my grandkids. This might be the time that me and Tone gonna do some traveling, because right now my therapist is, I'll get back to her in a month, but me and Tone gonna do some traveling. This might be the time for me to write a whole new song on how you just gonna love somebody and then leave them like that. Whatever it's gonna be, motivation comes in crazy ways. But the idea is there's always other pathways to sustain yourself when one has been removed. Never have just one. And it's the same thing with your money. We're supposed to have multiple streams of income. Why? So if any one income is removed, we're not hurting. No, we're not making as much as we were, but we're not about to be destitute. Same thing with your mental health. If one area is closed off, pipe yourself into the other ones until you can reopen that one and go from there. One venue don't want you to come and sing, you don't stop singing. You go to the venues that, and what do? We go to the venues that we know we can go to that love us. Even if there's 7 people talking about that girl can sing, well, I'm going to sing to you 7 until the other 7,000 come and get me. Okay, whatever it's going to take. Same thing.
Yeah.
And we have to see it that way. So this way we don't drive ourselves crazy. This right here is either a bridge to everything in the world or a jail from everything in the world. You make the choice.
What? So since everybody's being so transparent and honest right now, I guess it's my turn. I mean, no, for real. I mean, so one of the things for me, and I do want your feedback on this one. One of the things for me that I had to learn, especially when I lost my oldest son, is had to learn to put things in their proper perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I struggled with that for a while. You know, he passed in 2000. He passed in 2015. I think I finally came to some sort of terms about it in 2020. But I didn't come to the terms that I had wanted to come to the terms with it. And I saw the therapist. And thank goodness for having a therapist that was brutally honest with me.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
You know, and she was like, look, you got to look at this from a different perspective. You can't look at it from the simple fact that, yeah, he's gone, but what are you going to do now? You're still here.
Yeah.
You know, you got a grandbaby, you got a granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be looking to you and depending on you for a lot of things.
Of course.
And I had to look at it like that. And it was hard to live. It's hard for me to look at it in that perspective because I didn't want to let go.
Of course.
I didn't want to release him.
Of course.
And then when I look at it again, when I look at it now from 2022 to now, it's my perspective is so different. But even with that, looking at it from that end, but also just looking at, so my father lost his mom a couple of years ago too.
Mm-hmm.
And I went with him to Tennessee. Now, one of the things that I had never saw my father do, I never saw him break down, never saw him cry, never seen him display any type of emotion, anything. And then this one thing that rocks his world, you know, now I'm several seats away from him, but I'm looking at him to check on him to make sure he's good.
Mm-hmm.
The moment that I saw my father bury his face in his hands, that's what I knew it was real for him. And I think it brought me right back to the moment that I felt when that moment of finality hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, geez, the same thing that I felt is the same thing he's feeling right now.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I tried to do, I did with him, because prior to all this, he was really, really anxious and stuff like that. So I loved to put my arms around him, show that I was there for support.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found it amazing now that for me going through what I went through, and sometimes still do, because I have good days and I have bad days.
Of course.
And thank God the good days are more than the bad days.
Of course.
But now seeing what my father went through, what he endured, and what I saw him go through emotionally, put so much in perspective for me when it came to that. But still, I know with me, with that's still a hard thing to deal with, because
I understand.
I personally fight with the fairness of it. That's what I fight with. I fight with the fairness of it. It wasn't fair that my son left through these beads.
Mm-hmm.
And then also struggle with the simple fact of me saying that it was my fault, that I didn't teach him enough, or I wasn't a better father to him, I wasn't better anything to him. But so I guess my question is, and my therapist was very, like, yes, she was brutally honest with me. She broke it down to me. But speaking from that aspect, what do you talk? How do you speak to those people who have went through something as horrific as loss, and what do you tell them to? What things do you tell them to get them to kind of get back on the proverbial good foot, or get back on the horse and ride it?
Gotcha. Well, the first thing I'm gonna say to you, what I say to them is that thank you for sharing that when you didn't have to. Right. So I compliment you on even being strong enough to put that on the table. And to the point, the loss of a child, loss of a parent are two of the toughest things that we have to deal with. So one of the things, he dropped out. There you go, he's back.
I'm here.
Got you. No,
having that misty eye moment.
The toughest thing with losing a child, losing a parent, is that it's the powerlessness that we feel when this happens. I was sitting right in this chair in 2021 when my mother was going through cardiac arrest with my sister on the phone. There's nothing I could do. And the crazy part, I was on live and forgot to turn the camera off. So the other, I think 20 something people that was on got to go through it with me. And when I went back to look at the video, one of the positives that I took from it, that I realized in the biggest crisis of my life and my mother leaving this planet, I was ultra calm, which means I knew I chose the right pathway for myself, because I had to watch the video to listen to me trying to calm my sisters down. And then my friend called me back and said, yo, Pop, Mom ain't here no more. I'm like, all right, cool. But to your point, Fred, we can't blame ourselves simply because it has no power, but you're giving it power because it's creating doubt. Right. So one of the first things I'm going to say to you is not accept the death. Take your time to allow yourself to get to the point of acceptance. Now, you made some good choices and words when you said, I think I'm there. And it's okay if you're not. Grieving has no time limit. You take as much time as you need to grieve, as long as you're not reducing yourself to things that are not of you. Meaning, we're sitting in the house and not washing. We're not eating. We're not going to work. We're not living life because someone that we loved is no longer here. And the Bible talks about the dead take care of the dead and the living take care of the living. Two things. Your granddaughter, you just mentioned it. That's one of the ways. Yep. You pour into her everything you would have poured into your son. As she grows, you share with her every ounce of knowledge that you have about your son to her. And I take it that's her father? Yep. Okay, so you pour into her. So she starts to, you want to hear her one day say, wow, I wish I could have met him, Dad, and you would have loved him. Because it is now your job to do that for her for as long as you can, until she's old enough to take care of herself. So that's one thing. Now, on to your pops. And you just broke down what we've been talking about before, is that many of us have never seen the men that we care about actually become emotional. So we don't know how to deal with it, or it sends a whole new wave of emotion through us. But here's something I want to give you from your father's point of view that I want you to pay attention to. Your father knows what happened to you. Think of what's going on inside him to now see his grandson is not here. Right. Seeing that he can't do anything for you that's going to take away that pain. So he's stuck with a double pain, which is the same double pain that you had looking at him crying. So the both of you are suffering a double pain, but not for the same reasons. Because every person wants to outlive their child if they can. So when he's seeing his son and now his grandson, and then the grandson is removed from the picture, that hits him in a way, because remember, he, based on age, is closer to not being here than you are. That's just the way the numbers play out. We don't know what God has planned. So
Right.
what you two can both do, have these conversations with each other just so you can get an understanding of where he's at with everything that you're dealing with. You can get the same idea from him, and then the two of you become a monster when it comes to your granddaughter and his great granddaughter, of pouring everything into her, so much so that the love that she's not going to get, she's going to get it in other ways. That not only helps her, it heals the two of you. It brings you two together. It allows y'all both to pour into her, and it strengthens you because you're getting love around you and you're pouring love out from you. That will help with the healing. You will know when you've reached that point of healing when the memories of him allow you to smile without the pain. If you're not there yet, that is perfectly okay, my man. But you will know when you reach that point when you can have a conversation about the departed and you smile because your brain only circles through the good things.
Wow.
If you're not there yet, it's okay. Take it. And for some of us, it could come in months, a few years. Some of us, it may take a lifetime, but it's okay. As long as you're still moving forward, because this is where the moral capacity, this is where the faith capacity comes in. If people don't have any type of spiritual background, there's not a lot extra other than the support system that I may give them in terms of how they can. But this is where those who practice faith, I don't care if it's Muslim, Sikh, Christian, I don't care what your faith is. This is where that extended energy to a different level can actually help grant you comfort. Now, I'm a Christian, so for me, I'm going to turn to my Bible, spend some time with God, have a conversation. If I was a Muslim, I got a Quran sitting here too. I may sit down and read a couple of surahs, and me and Allah is going to have some conversations, whatever it is. But if you don't have that spiritual positioning, well, then you want to make sure the support groups and the people that you're connected to, you have around you that you can pour out some of that negative energy, and they actually say, here, I got a gigantic cup. Pour that in here. Let me hold that for you. You go ahead. I'm going to toss that out. You good. That's what we put together. So that's what I would suggest, because I also don't. And one last thing, you said something about fairness, right? I'm going to be just like your therapist now. I don't know what your therapist tell you, but I'm going to tell you what I tell my daughter. Ain't no such thing as fairness. Stop it. Life ain't fair. Stop it. Because that idea of fairness will drive you crazy. My daughter will come and go, but Dad, that's not fair. So, and she said, I told somebody in school that you said ain't no such thing as fair, and they didn't believe it. I said, I don't care what they believe. I said, I'll prove it to you. The four of us are on this computer right now, right? There's bombs dropping in Gaza. Is life fair?
Right.
Would you trade places with them? Mm-hmm. Can't be fair if you're gonna say no. I'm not gonna be somewhere and I don't know what's dropping up out of the sky that's gonna take me out. And I'm not even talking about the political aspect of it.
Right.
I'm saying that right now there's a war going on in Gaza and people are dying. Do you want to trade places with them? No. So the world ain't fair. There's somebody in the hospital right now struggling for a couple of bits of air. You don't think they trade for your life right now with all the pain that you have? Man, they'd kill 27,000 people if they could just to get your pain. Because it means they're not suffering theirs.
Right.
Please understand that fairness goes out the window the minute you draw your first breath.
Wow. That's a nugget and a half right there.
That's a word right there. Everybody's looking for fair. Everybody is looking for fair. Well, not everybody, but you know.
No, it's a fantasy because fair is subjective at best. What's fair really mean? It's like fun. Fun is subjective. And I'll give you an example. All four of us get on a roller coaster. We get off and I go, that sucked. I'm never getting on that roller coaster again. Kai, you like, oh, it's the greatest in the world. Fred is like, yo, I'm about to get sick. Nah, I don't know, man. I might get back on. And Tone is like, nah, I'm with Kai. Let's get back on. Which one of us is wrong?
Nobody.
Nobody. We're all speaking from our own perspective on the same thing. There is no fairness because if it's subjective, then it's based on how I think, how I feel, or how I interact. Well, there's nothing fair about that. The question becomes, am I a good person? Do people count on me to be who I am? Do people like me for who I am? And you may go, I don't care how people feel about me. You should.
For sure.
Because you're going to need them to pour back into you when you're weak. Nobody pours back into the dude that nobody likes. Nobody pours into the stinky kid at school. Nobody, right? I'm sorry, nobody pours into the stinky kid except for that one bold young lady. It's always a young lady too. Hey, Stinky, I don't know why they call you that. I'm going to eat lunch with you. And then the dude who like her go, well, hey, I like Marie. So, hey, Stinky, what's going on? I'm going to come hang out with y'all because I like her. Okay, well, Stinky got some friends now. And then they find out that the reason why he's stinky, he has a gland situation or he has a medical issue, but he couldn't share that with everybody. Oh, wow, I didn't know. So the point that I'm saying is, no, there's no fairness, brother. And the idea is find a balance for you, Fred. Find a balance, shine that light on the inside of you and go, this is what I'm going to hold for my son. I didn't go to my mom's funeral. And a lot of people got mad. Well, first of all, I'm not traveling to New York in the midst of a pandemic. I'm not risking my family who's alive for somebody I can no longer say anything to.
Right.
Second, my sister acted a fool when my mom passed, and I said, I got to distance myself from you simply because you handle it any way you want to handle it, but I can't deal with the negativity the way you're going about it. So for me, I keep my mom's memory where I need them. Are there times that I get emotional? Yes. And her picture's right on my desktop when I turn on my computer. There's some times I look and I get emotional. Okay. But I'm working on a book right now, and one of the characters was patterned after my mom because I know what she allowed me or what the memories that she has. So I use that as motivation. So somebody's going to read my new fictional book and go, yo, that character, the mom, that reminded me of my mom. Really? Because I patterned it after my mom. And that's what I went back to Tone when I asked you, when you write a song, where does it come from? It comes from us first, then to whoever we're catering it to. So Tone, when you say to yourself, I know what I lived, that doesn't mean I have to live that way now. Do it that way, and all of a sudden you see yourself differently. You become something different. And the minute you become something different, that old you is done. Done. We are not the same as we was just 5 minutes ago.
See, that's a word right there because not that, because I struggle with that actually. I look back and I see things and I'm like, oh, wow, this is what my mother did, or wow, this is what my mother used to say, or and I don't do it consciously. It's something that will just happen, and it could be something that I've been doing for years, but it's like when it finally does hit, it's like, wow, yeah, that was her. That was her. That was my aunt. Or, that's what they did to me,
Pour into your grandkids. You have the opportunity to be what your mother never was to you. You have the opportunity to be that to your grandkids, something special. You actually have all the knowledge necessary to be the best you possible. How? By simply thinking about what was done to you that was negative and beat it into your head. I'll never be that way with my kids or my grandkids. Now, let's say you're my age, which you are. We're in our 50s. If our adult kids, we drop the ball. If with our adult kids, we drop the ball. Here's what I did. So I can only be transparent. You apologize. You offer the apology for what you used to be. You tell them I'm here anytime you want to talk. All I can give you is answers and love. But if that's not good enough, cool. You then let them go. And you leave the light and the door open for if they ever come back, and you go ahead and live your life. You cannot be held victim to who you used to be. But if the people who were hurt by you or hurt because of actions because of you, give them the space to go heal. Just simply be the better you. If they never come back, you trust God and pray to covering. And if they give you an opportunity to be around the grandkids, pour into the grandkids.
Got you.
My two oldest kids are mad at who I used to be that they don't even want to allow me around the grandkids. Okay. I don't lose any sleep because you're stealing from your grandchildren. My grandchildren, your children. Your pain is blocking you so much that you don't want to allow your own kids to see their grandfather. That's not a me issue. That's a you issue. That's the key right there.
Right.
I don't hold on to issues that are somebody else's. Now, if I was the cause, then what do? I offered an apology. And if anybody goes to my YouTube channel, I actually have, it's called Old Head versus Young Head. I have 6 videos where I spoke to each of my children one-on-one in this same format, just to have a conversation. The only agreements I had with them is we won't speak negative about your moms in any way, and we're just going to have a conversation about you and about me. My kids came on, we all had conversations. 2 of them I haven't spoken to since. That's okay, because I pray for them every night, and I leave it alone, because at the end of the day, I can't make somebody else happy. So why would I allow myself to be unhappy when somebody else is choosing to be distant? My past is only a plethora of information for me. I refuse to allow the emotion to come forward. I got a 9-year-old who needs me to be who I am. I got a wife who needs me to be who I am. Can't do anything different. My right now needs me, not what I used to be.
Wow. That right there is a word.
Now that's
My right now needs
powerful
me.
right there. Powerful right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See?
So
See?
Keith,
And talking, listening to you, that's where it's coming from. That's where the suicides are coming from. That's where the depression is leaking in. You've covered a lot of what is wrong emotionally and mentally. So basically it explains, if we take time to listen, it explains exactly why the rates are what they are and why people are going through. They don't know how to handle it. They don't know
That's true.
what direction to go with it when it hits them. And
That's
a lot
true.
of people get hit hard. So
you know whose fault that
it
is?
explains
That's the people who
it
know.
explains it.
The problem, whose fault that is, the people who know don't say, I'm right here. They don't get on their page and say, if you need help, reach out. They say it after you're gone. Oh my God, if I knew she was in so much pain, she could have talked to me. Did you tell her? Oh my God, if I had known he was in so much pain, I could have did something. Why don't you ask? Why don't you offer?
But you know what? That's a good point, though. So, to your point, what makes us as human beings not always want to be available to our fellow man?
We don't want to help. We don't want to do the work.
It's not my problem.
Yeah,
it's not my problem.
No, people don't. Here's the funny part, Fred. That's a great question, by the way, because most people don't care. They just act like they do because they don't want the blowback if they have to tell you, go F yourself.
Wow.
And I'll prove it to you. If when people go, how are you doing? Go, I'm struggling today, man. I really need some help. Some people even say that's good because they weren't expecting you to actually say how you really felt when they said how you feeling.
Yes.
And then some people go, really? Oh man. And this what they'll do as they go, oh, so okay, I hear you struggling. They go look at their wives and go, oh, you know what? I gotta go. You ain't gotta go nowhere. You just don't want to talk. Because people don't want it. It takes a different type of person to ask someone to give me your burden. Well, my other hashtag is bring me your pain. My main hashtag is we can fix this. I can't fix anything by myself. We can fix this. And so I can't fix anything until you bring me your pain. But I can't ask somebody to bring me their pain and then not be prepared to deal with it. Most people don't want to deal with other people's issues. And if you listen to them, one of the first things that they'll say is they'll go, hey, I got my own problem. I ain't gonna take no other problem. I'm saying, hey, that Negro got to take care of his own issue. I got to take care of mine. And it'd be the same female or male. What they're really saying is, I don't want the extra because I pretty much don't know how to deal with my own. But we still got to put it out there because here's the crazy part. All 4 of us have talents that were not given to us for us. They were given to us that when activated, when given to somebody else, it triggers something in them that then when they give it to somebody else, and before you know it, you got a whole bunch of people healed Or you have a whole bunch of people, now a light is on them that wasn't on them before. Case in point, if anybody's been paying attention on TikTok, the TikToker Keith Lee goes to Atlanta and he has an issue and all this other stuff and everybody jump. Okay, fine. Keith Lee sat down in front of a camera in a Paw Patrol chair and simply as a MMA fighter said, I'm going to tell you how I feel about food. And I'm also going to let you know I have social anxiety and I'm a child of God. That's pretty much his whole platform. Well, because of his honesty and his enjoyment of food, he has 14 million followers, so much so that people would rather have him come to their restaurant and say they like the food than a Michelin award. And a Michelin award is like the Grammy or the Oscars of the food industry.
Yep.
All because he was honest with himself and said, I'm not going to make this about me. God has given every one of us all the things we need to help each other. The problem is we are scared to give it away. So we try to hold on to the food. And this is the example that I give to everybody that I hold myself to. I push myself to say, can I make the food, set the table, and let other people eat and trust that they're going to turn back to me and go, Keith, you're not going to eat with us? Most people can't do that. Because if you did, what happens? They'll invite you over because of how well you made them feel. They'll tell other people, yo, Fred is that dude. Kai is that chick. Yo, T is that dude. Yo, they make food and just put it out in front. Get out. And you'll have somebody knock on your door at 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, are y'all the couple that give away food? Yes. Let me get you something. Now, all of a sudden, you look out and there's 10 people out there. All of a sudden, you got somebody who wants to give you $1,000 because you said, I can't feed the 1,000 that showed up. Okay. Well, the people that you did come back and go, well, let's raise some money for you. That is how God actually gave us everything that we need to fix what's wrong. The problem is we don't do that.
Yep.
It's all there. It's all inside all of us. There's no magic. The question is, are you willing to accept the disappointment? Are you willing to go out into the darkness? Because somebody's going to try to steal that food. Somebody's going to try to harm you because they're mad that you're getting more attention than them. Are you brave enough to stand your ground and go, if I go, I go?
That's the hard part. A lot of us don't want to wade out to them deep waters because you're scared you're going to drown.
So I have a question.
Sure. Go ahead, Tom.
I have a question. Okay, so you said now originally what our thought and direction is we can't help somebody who's out there going through something like that and we don't got our mindset together.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we are supposed to help people who are going through, or we should be there for those who are going through. If you don't have yourself together, is it feasible to actually go out there and bring somebody to their conclusion when we're struggling with our own conclusions?
Would you let a doctor operate on you who says I'm not sure being a doctor?
We're getting hit left and right, up and down. Wait, say that again?
No, think about it, Tone. Would you let a doctor operate on you who says, well, I'm not really sure about this doctor thing, but I want to help you? Would you let him operate on you?
No.
So you would say, could you get me somebody else, right?
There.
So you would say, yeah, exactly.
My thing is this. If a doctor is unsure, you're getting ready to cut me open. You're unsure of what's going on with you. That reminds me of the Marvel movie Doctor Strange. After his accident, his hands were jacked up. He still wanted to do what he wanted to do, but when he was by the table and getting ready to operate, his hands just weren't at capacity, and he didn't feel he could do what he needed to do, so he had to step away. So he didn't necessarily operate on that person because he knew he had something he was dealing with that just wasn't going to allow him to deal with the person that was laying on that table. So So that's what I liken it to, I guess.
But did he not operate because of them, or did he not operate because of himself? Was it his arrogance or his love for the patient?
With him, it was a matter.
Arrogance.
Yeah, he thought he was a guy.
Do you call it arrogance if you know there's a problem? Like, he's sitting over the table, his hands are shaking to where he can't, because they're damaged. He's got nerve damage, so he can't. He wants to do, but he can't do. So he has to step away.
I'm a Marvel junkie, right? So let's go. We got to play the whole context out.
Like,
no, play the whole context out. His hands was shaking, and he wanted back what he lost. He didn't care about the patient. Now, he does what he does for patients. We saw it at the beginning scene when he saw that the bullet was in there. But even with taking out the bullet, he's ridiculing the other doctor because of the mistake that the doctor made. He never made it about anybody else until far into the movie when he actually became who he was. Even after he became Doctor Strange, he said, hey, I didn't come here for this. I just wanted to get my hands fixed. I ain't trying to defend the world. Where we show up? Nah, I ain't with that. And it was the brother that said, man, shut up. This is what we do. And yeah, I killed them. And I've had to do some other things. And you're going to have to do some of the same things. And what happened? When it came down to keeping himself alive, what did he tell old girl to do? Turn the volume up. Turn the juice up on that thing. And like he told, I just killed the man. The homeboy said, so? But you protected yourself, right? Yeah. And what he was trying to explain to him is that this is what it comes down to. The point that I'm getting at is he had to learn to become the defender. Said by Endgame, it was, I need to protect the earth. So in Infinity War, we see a different Doctor Strange.
Right.
But in his origin story, we see the arrogant Doctor Strange. And that arrogance is still there. It doesn't leave him. It's that his focus, his mindset, I am still the player that I was 16 years ago. Except my mindset is I don't need what that player needed. But the talents, the skills, the ability to talk, I now use but serve God to do it. Am I still as smooth? Yes. Do I still flirt? Yes. But not with the idea or the outcomes that I wanted when I was that dude. Our minds, our nature doesn't change. Our mindsets do. So the point that I'm getting at is when it comes to offering help, I now will help people. Whereas before, it was all about what was I getting out of it? See, faith is about the belief in things not seen. Well, you can't believe in something you don't see if you are not willing to allow yourself to think in that mindset. That's why Jesus said, if you have the faith of a mustard seed, well, go on Google and Google what a mustard seed is. A mustard seed is so tiny, which proves most people do not have the faith that they think they have.
Right.
They just talk a great game.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So to your point, Tone, you can want to help, and just because you're helping don't mean you really want to. There's people out there feeding people, but they're doing it begrudgingly, or they're doing it because it's what I have to do so the judge said I can get these hours up off me so I can go back to my life. So they wouldn't care if the person started choking on the food, or they wouldn't even care if the food was fresh. Just here. They say I got to be here 150 hours. Here, take this plate and get out in front of me. Are they helping? Yes. But is that the type of help that the people really need that's coming to get the food? They're getting the food. But are they really being served?
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. Service.
Well, my primary question, I guess, for that then was, if we're wounded, should we be expected to, if we're going through, should we be expected to try to be helping somebody else out of their situation if we're not capable to deal with our own at that time? But then I thought about it, and it's like, well, that calls for you to put yourself on the back burner. That calls for you to take your situation and say, you know what, whatever it is, I'm like, I got to put it to the side because this person needs me, or that person might need me. So I kind of sort of answered my own question, but yeah, that was my primary question.
Is it, to what Tony's saying though, is is there a way to not like he brought up suicide, and you brought up, well, they could have came and talked to me, and you said, well, did you tell them that? But to what Tony's saying, if I'm going through something and my friend is going through something, do I turn him away because I'm going through something, or do I give what I can give? Maybe I don't have the tools to fix him, but I can listen. Maybe he just needs somebody to talk to. Maybe he just needs to go for a walk. Maybe he just needs a hug. I can't fix him because that's not my professional goal, but I can do something to help.
You can call somebody for him. It may not be for you to fix. See, the thing is, here's what a good friend does. Bro, I don't even know how to help that, but let me go find somebody who does.
Okay, there you go.
So again, it still is always going to come back to this kind. That's a great point. And what Tone was saying as well, it's still a matter of acknowledging where you are. And the fact that you took the time out to listen, your pain is not going to go away. But if for that minute, and this is why I said it depends on the level of the crisis.
Right.
I used to be going through things in my former marriage. But what I realized is that when I get out my car, there are children counting on me to be Mr. B. They could care less what's going on with me and my ex-wife when I get to the school. And I have to learn to put that to the side because these kids are expecting me to be what I got to be. So I make the conscious decision that when I walk through this door, no kid is going to know what I'm dealing with at home. That doesn't help me. And in time, what it actually does, it pulls what little bit of positive energy I have in me out because I'm done by the end of the day. So by the time I get home, I'm coming through the door like, she's still here breathing. Because I done left all the positive energy at school because I wasn't dealing with me. And what created that situation? I get you. What created that situation? What was the final piece? Now, and here's something I talk about all the time. When we hear the term, the straw that broke the camel's back, right? We don't actually stop and think about what's that saying. A camel is built to carry a building on its back. So for a piece of straw to break the back of a being that was created to hold on to a lot, it means that there was already a ton on the back of that camel, that just this little blade of straw was all it took. But people say it all the time, but they don't stop and think about where that comes from. Many of us, if we would stop before it got to the point that the piece of straw would break us, not only could we heal ourselves, we could help other people. And many of us are at that point, that one more piece of straw and we're done. And now somebody has this major catastrophe. We don't know what to do. And so instead of saying, well, let me try to find you help. And let me tell you why some people don't want to try to find help. They don't want to expose what they're dealing with. They're scared that if they call a therapist and go, my friend sound like they might do something dirty to themselves. Okay, where are you at? Damn, I'm at the club. I'm at the house right now. Okay, well, I need you to drive over to that house. Damn, I got that thing I'm supposed to go to the hotel with. Can I just call them and tell them to come to you? No. We don't want to get exposed. And then some of us, we don't like to be in a position where we're confused, where we don't know what to do, because then we have the guilt of, and it goes to what you just said, Brother Fredrick, I blame myself. So many of us stay away from, because we've already overanalyzed the situation. Mindfulness thinking is thinking of the moment. It means, what in this moment right here, right now, do I need to be doing? When I looked at my watch and saw it was like 5 minutes to 7, I said, oh, I made a commitment to be here. So baby dog, can't talk to you. Wife, can't talk to you. Gotta go. Bring my water. Gotta get everything needed. Even though I didn't see Tone's message of, hey, could you come on a little earlier? So I said, I just got to get on now because there's nothing else I can do but get on at this moment. But what was the first thing I did when I got in? I apologized. Yeah. And you said, no, you're good. It's before 7. I apologized because a message was requesting me to come earlier. And that's what I mean by staying in the moment. By in this moment right here, I apologize because there was a request made. Yes, okay, I made it. But I still have to acknowledge that I saw the message and I didn't react to it. Well, it may not change anything, but what it is an offer. Practice offering on a regular. You don't find it as a strange thing to other people. The more we get comfortable with offering, the more it comes naturally, but we don't worry about it. So what happened? My wife didn't worry about it. She was like, how long is it going to be? I said, I don't know, probably a couple hours. Cool. But I told my daughter, bring my water. They good because they know who I am. And that's the other part. The more we're consistent with who we are, the people in our support groups or the people in our immediate circles understand that. So it's like, oh, okay, Fred doing his thing. Go ahead, Fred. Go do you. Kai, oh, she doing her thing. Okay, cool. That's why we need more than just one resource of support.
Right.
Wow.
This is definitely going to be a part 2, 3, 4, you know, and I knew this coming into it because it is such a hefty topic. There was no way that we were going to get, you know, everything that we want to say out in 2 hours. There's just no way. There's just no way. So we'll definitely have to have you back and continue this conversation. But in the meantime, in between time, before we go, let people know where exactly they can find you, where they can look you up, where they can get in contact with you.
Sure. First and foremost, let me say thank you to all three of you. Because, yeah, I'll definitely come back in the future. But you got to also think of what we gave or what you guys gave over that 2 hours, too. They got to hear about you. They got to hear about Brother Fred and Tone himself. So all three of you helped a lot of people by sharing your own personal experiences to allow them to hear you ask the questions for your own situations that probably hit on a lot of situations for the people listening. So first and foremost, let me commend you on that. And thank you for having me here. Well, I am on all social media platforms, mostly on Facebook and TikTok, but I am on all social media platforms. I am Keith K.L. Belvin on all my platforms. It is my government name. I ain't got to hide from nobody. You really don't want to come to my house unannounced, but if you want to try, that's on you. But yeah, I'm on all social media platforms. My websites are in the links of all of my bios, so you don't have to go searching too far. Just click on any one of my social media pages. I have a Linktree link that has all my professional bios, my books, everything that I do. And so if you need to reach out, if somebody's interested in counseling and they think now is the time that they want to have somebody professionally, reach out. I'm here to talk. This is what I do. And more than anything else, I just simply want to say to anybody watching, don't hide your questions. Don't be scared to ask a question. And if you don't get an answer, go to somebody else. If the restaurant is closed, we do not stop eating. We just go to the next place. Well, if somebody's not there for you, find somebody else. Do not sit all alone and think the world does not care. That is not true. You may have to find the person who cares because there's a lot of people who is out there about themselves. But I simply want to say to anybody watching, I am here if you want to find me. I'm not difficult to find. I don't hide. I'm on social media every day. I post every day. So you can find me if you're really looking for me. And I do not turn away any questions. You can hit me up in my inbox. Make sure it's a professional question. Don't play yourself. Don't say, hey, you're a handsome big man. My wife knows. Thank you. I appreciate the compliment, but I'm good. Plus, I'm 55. I couldn't do nothing with you anyway. I'm older now. So anyway, but I'm just saying. I am here if you need to find me. And again, I thank you guys for allowing me to be in your space. And if you need me, let me know. I'll make some arrangements because at the end of the day, help has to come in many forms, but it has to come. It has to be offered. Because if it's not offered, there's somebody out there just wishing or hoping that somebody would actually be there to help them. You at least got to let them know. If they choose not to, that's on them. But we at least have to let them know that it's here. And that's what I do on a regular basis and every day. I let folks know I'm here.
And let the church say amen.
Amen.
But we want to thank you for stepping in. Amen. We want to thank you for stopping in, Keith. We love
the new book. Yes, I want to show
having
you. There you go.
Oh,
yes, sir.
That's the new one. That's the new one. 12 Steps to Recover from a Toxic Relationship. That's the new one. If anybody is getting out of a relationship and needs some assistance, I'm here for it. And I'm sorry, Tony, I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize for that.
I've been in a long-term relationship, but you know, it's crazy because you can be in a long-term relationship but still be fussing over the old, still have, you know, wounds from the old.
Well, then I would actually say the problem is then you might need to take a chill. But if you're already in a relationship, then you need to let that person know I need to go fix me, because you can't bleed on the new person because of the old person that cut you. It's not fair to the new person. You're asking them to do something that they didn't sign up for. Also, it's false advertisement, because unless you showed up and said, listen, I'm a broken individual, you still want to get with me? If you didn't give them that at the beginning, if you didn't tell them at the beginning, then you can't kind of spring that on me after we done got into it, we having fun, and you go, yeah, I got some real major issues. My mom, my dad gave them to me, my cousin gave them to me. No. Wait a minute.
Hold up.
That ain't what you told me. So I would say always try to fix self before inviting anybody else to the party, because it's unfair to the new person. But at the same time, be careful, because if you don't ask them questions, you may turn around and have them bringing their dirt to the table. Now y'all like both looking like Pigpen and dirt all over the place because y'all didn't do anything. So I would always say try to heal self first. Dating, what do we tell the kids? What do we tell the guys? Man, girls will be there whenever. Just finish what you got to do in school. Well, as adults, the opposite sex, the same sex, whatever you into will be there after you heal yourself, and it'll be more enjoyable when you've healed yourself, because you can't get with somebody knowing you got major red flags, but you're hiding them.
Brothers and sisters, heal thyself.
My man. But I thank you guys for having me on. And again, I'm accessible if anybody needs me, man.
Look, Tony, we gonna let you give the benediction.
Church doors is open.
We want. All right. We want to thank you all for tuning in. This has been awesome. It has been eye-opening, to say the least. So we want to thank you all for sharing this night with us. Those of you that didn't get it, weren't able to be here, you can go into the files, the archives when Boss Man puts it up. We will be coming back at you again 2 weeks from now. Sofa Chat will be back. In the meantime and in between time, Behind the Eye of Kai, which is my sweetie, she has her show coming on Monday afternoons, 12 to 2. And then there's your boy, T.Wade. I will be coming at you as well on the opposite Wednesdays of Sofa Chat. So next Wednesday, it'll be on me, and you'll be coming to see T-Wade's To The Point. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to cover some stuff. Be ready to be a little bit uncomfortable, but yet very comfortable. That's all I can say for you. I'm loving you. We love you. We're glad that you came to share this time with us, and we hope to see you again. Fred, if you have anything to add to that, your take.
Look here. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. This has been a great night, y'all. And first of all, Mr. Belvin, thank you for coming here tonight, man. All I'm gonna say is that a whole bunch of nuggets were dropped and a whole lot of insight was gained. Amen. To that, I'm gonna personally say thank you.
You're welcome, brother.
Because I think if anybody, look, I'm gonna tell y'all, if y'all didn't catch any nuggets from that, if y'all didn't get any insight from any of this, I don't know what's wrong with y'all. I really don't. So,
no doubt. Well, I thank you
so much for being here, brother. This has been an amazing night, and gosh, this is gonna be something we talked about for at least a couple of days, for me.
No doubt. Then I did exactly what I was supposed to do, because at the end of the day, both you brothers and Kai, I thank you, because God knew we'd be right here at this moment right here. And when you go back and watch the replay, and I replay things in my head as I'm talking, you're going to realize that all three of you shared stuff you didn't have to.
Right.
And that lets me know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do when people feel comfortable enough to share stuff that didn't have to. And that's my goal anytime I'm on, is to be able to use this gift that God gave me to have people feel comfortable to say, well, let me ask this question. Okay, cool. And that's what it's about. Now the question becomes, what do you do now that y'all both and Kai put what you put on the table? What do you do going forward? What do you do when you go back and watch the replay and say, you know what? How do I deal with that feeling of fairness? Well, what am I going to do with my granddaughter? And how do I reach out to my pops and do some things with my pops? And Tony, same thing. How do I deal with, you know, Tony, one of the things I didn't get a chance to suggest to you is that I would talk to your sister. I would talk with your sister and say, how were you able to dig in and get past a lot of what I wasn't able to? One, y'all come from the same place, affected by the same things. So that's one of the things that you can do. And by asking her, how were you able to plant your feet down and be okay? Because you said it, that, you know, your sister was able to get past some of that. Well, first of all, that's what you want. Share with me that sauce. Share with me what, and whatever that is, bottle it for yourself, and then start to sprinkle that over your things that you're doing, knowing that you have an actual person who made it through. And that's super important. When we can actually see that somebody has done it, it causes us to react and feel a little bit different. So that's one of my suggestions to you, is that just have that conversation with her and say, how were you able to do it? And even if she say, I don't know, just say, well, how did you feel? And just whatever you can glean from that, because anything that you can get from somebody that you care about builds you up internally.
What else can be said to that, man? What else can
be
said?
So, guys, I want y'all to have a great night. And again, thank you for allowing me to be the guest. I pray you tons of success. If you let me know ahead of time, I'll try to rearrange my schedule and come on when you need me. And if any of your guests reach out to you, just tell them when they reach out to me that they saw me on your show, and I'll see what I can do for them, and I'll see what we can do, and we'll go from there. I'm always here to try to help where I can.
That's what's up, man. Thank you so much, man. So with that being
said, amen.
I'm gonna let Tony and Kai get us up out of here, man, with the benediction, and we gonna see y'all again next time. So Tony and Kai, y'all take it away.
Well, I think Tony said everything earlier. I had to hand off the grandbaby to my son. He was like, "Mom, I want my baby back. You've had her too long." So they just came home today. So, you know, we kept her for a little while so they could get organized and stuff. And he was like, "Okay, I'm ready for my daughter back," which is good. Excellent. You know, that was good. So yeah, we enjoyed it.
We love y'all. And we thank y'all for tuning in. We really do. We appreciate it.
Make sure y'all subscribe to Trailblazers Radio, because we are not the only host, Fred. There are several other hosts. Make sure that you subscribe to Trailblazers Radio so that you can catch all of the other shows that go on in this month. If you're an artist and you have music out, make sure that you hit up trailblazersradio@gmail.com and let them know that you are interested in being the featured artist on a show or on all of our shows, but it needs to be clean music. All right.
Shoot me the link. I'll pass it out.
It don't have to be clean. No. Oh, it don't have to be clean. No. It just, if it's not clean, there's a couple of shows you won't get played on. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. But my show, if it ain't got to be clean, but other people.
It don't got to be clean for mine, but there are a couple of shows that, you know, they want something a little bit more, you know, gospel type, you know, clean. But, you know, there's some people who do that and some people who don't, and some people who can do a radio edit. So, you know, come on, artists. Y'all know.
There you go.
Bring your music.
Send me the link.
Bring your music, poetry, anything. Yes.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna take y'all home with this.
Yeah,
with
that's
this
right.
song,
that's right. Poets as well.
Yes, sir. So, got a song I'm gonna take y'all home with. We love y'all to life, and we love y'all to live, and we want y'all to have a wonderful day and even better evening. We love y'all, and at this point, we gone.
Deuces.